You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Liberty Podcast. This is episode number 160 of East Central Indiana's favorite podcast. I'm Jeremiah Morrell. Today I'm joined by, as always, our co-host, Dakota Davis.
Today's episode features the two of us. The topics we have tonight, as you can see in the title, are Justin Amash is running for president. He is the only non-white man who's now in the race. Indiana is opening back up from our quarantine days. The stay-at-home order is about to be lifted. There's a 5-stage plan, and we're going to go through all 5 stages and tell you what they mean and what they mean for small businesses and what would be best for small businesses during this opening up time. And then we are also going to be talking a little bit about rural broadband and about 5G, the towers that are in Henry County, what that means for all of its citizens, and the good news that comes with that as well.
The show is about our lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we'll provoke you. Other times we'll make you laugh. Hopefully, you'll always learn something new. This is our last show on Zoom. So if you've grown to appreciate this distance crap that we've been going through and the lower audio quality and me not being able to reach out and bother Dakota, then I have bad news. Next week, we're back together in studio.
I've enjoyed it. I've been starting work at 6 for the past 3 weeks, so yep. It's been great to not be out super late. But I think that I'll be starting.
How old are you? You think that like getting home at 9 o'clock is super late?
Listen, I'm still getting up and trying to exercise at 3:45 in the morning because of this. Well, maybe not that early.
3:45 in the morning.
I sleep in past that most days. That was a dishonest statement.
That is just a blatant lie.
I usually.
You're not a truth teller, Dakota.
I still wake up my alarm is set for 4:15.
Okay.
I was trying the 3:45 and that was too much. There's no way to get adequate amount of sleep, especially with a baby.
I feel like if you're getting up at 3:45 in the morning, you're just hiding from your family.
3:45 is it's a time that most people don't realize happens twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that know that it happens twice. They work midnights.
Yep. I've done that. Listen, second shift was my favorite shift that I ever worked in my entire life. I worked second shift at Ball Memorial Hospital, and we did 4 10s, and it was absolutely perfect. I loved it.
I could get down with the 4 10s. The working 4 days a week sounds lovely. I'm not sure about the seconds, especially as you get as Jackson starts to get older and gets into school age.
Right.
Seconds would absolutely not work.
The disclaimer there is I was a single man whenever I did that. Yep. So it was, and I was also remodeling my first house. So for like that month and a half that I was doing that, I got so much stuff done around the house. It was unbelievable.
Very good. We got some people to thank. You got a list?
That's right. We have to thank everyone who supports us on Patreon. Patreon are the folks who pay the bills around the place whenever we're in the studio. We still have an electric bill, and we still have rent that is due, even though we're not using it right now. Those bills still have to be paid. And the people at patreon.com/BossHog of Liberty are the folks that make it happen. You can sign up at any level. You can do custom amounts. Intern Mason Rottinghouse joined for like $1.36 a month. But the tiers actually start at $5 a month, and you get admitted to a super secret Facebook group. You get show notes before every episode that has links and the topics that we're going to discuss. And you also get access to a private live stream every week and a bonus episode every week. So you get all kinds of things. And if you support us at $50 or more a month, then we give you a shout out at the front of every episode. Those folks are Jonathan Phillips, Chris Lamb, Craig DaCosta, and Christy Avery. And I know that Craig DaCosta is going to ask what we're drinking tonight. So I So this is for you, Craig. I'm drinking brand new, to me, Jameson Black Barrel Irish whiskey. And this is about as close to American whiskey from Jameson that you're going to find. It's very good.
I am south of the border. It's the first time I've hosted Boss Hog from out of state. I'm down in Kentucky, and I'm drinking a Pennsylvania beer. Yuengling Black and Tan is what I got with me. But it'll do. It works out well. Last weekend, I stopped at your favorite brewery, man. 450 North. Is it 450 North? It's a county road. I can never remember it well.
Yep, 450 North. That's the one.
I was social distancing down in Bartholomew County, and I was just 5 or 6 miles away. So it worked out really nicely. It was my first time visiting, trying to support the local brewery scene. I got some Mad Paddle a couple weeks ago. Our pal Mike Broyles went down to Madison and filled some Mad Paddle for me and brought it back. I was talking to Sean Rao, Liberty Defender Sean Rao, via text this week, and I realized that there is not a single place in Henry County to get a growler filled, Dakota.
That's true.
We got nothing. We are
not Henry County.
Michelle Obama used to talk about food deserts, and I really hope that maybe the next president, whoever he may be, will talk about craft beer deserts, because I think it's an issue that needs to be dealt with.
We're living in one of them. Newcastle is the largest city in the state that doesn't have its own brewery, right?
Rushville just opened theirs. I mean, look,
we can drive.
We can drive to Wooden Bear. We can drive to Rushville, but it's not. It wouldn't be the same as having the Raintree Brewery, or even a tap house. It doesn't have to be a brewery. I don't care if they don't brew it there. It's fine. But I just want somebody to provide local craft beer that I can go get a 32-ounce bullet or a 64-ounce growler filled.
It would be an amazing thing for that. We'll have to talk to our friends at Block and Brew at Montgomery's about that.
Seems like it'd be a good idea. Real good time to make some of that work.
Speaking about the next president making these decisions, Justin Amash. Am I pronouncing his name correctly? I am, right? Justin Amash or Justin Amash? Is it
Amash.
tomato?
Amash.
All right, good. He made history in the past 7 days, we'll say, became the first Libertarian in the House of Representatives. So that was a big deal. There's now, if you look on Wikipedia and you look up the House of Representatives, then you will see one little golden dot amongst a sea of red and blue. And
the clerk of the United States House of Representatives reflects him as well. So there is a Libertarian serving in Congress, which is a big deal for somebody we both spent a lot of time working for Libertarian candidates and working through the party structure, and it meant a lot to have an elected Libertarian now in Congress,
especially someone who aligns so closely with my personal Libertarian views, which would be Justin Amash. He's a much more of the pragmatic person in the Libertarian Party. He's much more on that. He has a realistic worldview, I guess we'll say. He knows the beast very well. He's been living inside of it for some time, and I'm glad that our first elected Libertarian in a national seat is not someone from the Audacious Caucus. I'll put it that way.
No, you have to be electable to get into Congress like that, and Justin is. So he did that. I think he's going to represent us well. The national committee and the national chairman, Chairman Sarwark, made the decision today that their national convention, the Libertarian National Convention, is going to be Memorial Day weekend, which is the date it was originally scheduled for. But now they know for sure that it's going to happen. But instead of being in Austin, Texas, it's going to be on your computer. It's going to be virtual, which happens. That's I think that's pretty much what everybody has had to go to now at this point.
To commend Nick Sarwark once again. I believe it was the right call, and I know that's the call that he was fighting for from the beginning. And there are other folks that are totally against that. They wanted to have an in-person convention no matter what. And even if they had to do it in June or do it somewhere else. I think that an online convention will work well. I think it is the best move for a party that wants to be taken more seriously during this current election cycle.
It's going to be different. This is a year of everything being unprecedented, right? But there were no guarantees. There's no guarantees that anybody is going to be up and running again. And I think it's such a tough decision, right? Everybody likes to get together and trying to conduct business virtually. You know, it's hard enough with 5 or 6 people. I did a family birthday party on Saturday, maybe Sunday. It was Monday night. It doesn't matter. But I think it was Monday night. Did a family birthday party that lasted about 4 hours, and there were about 16 or 17 people on there. And I don't know how you conduct that with 500 delegates. It's not going to be easy because everybody thinks that they have their turn at the microphone and everybody has their chance to speak.
The best solution that I saw was that the state chairman would have 2 Zoom meetings going at one time. One Zoom meeting would be going for the national convention. One Zoom meeting would be going for the state chairman and all of that state's delegates. Whenever it came time to vote, that state's delegates would vote and give the results to the party chairman. The party chairman would announce that results on the Zoom meeting going on the national side. And that is how things would be tallied. To me,
is that the official rules, or that's not
the official rules. That's just I saw that recommended by a number of people. I just wanted to say that I think that is, in my mind, it is the way that makes the most amount of sense to make it happen peacefully and to go over as smoothly as possible. It's also a way to ensure that the votes are counted correctly. There's no funny business going on, as long as we can trust the chairman of each state.
So Amash has declared he's running. He's made his declaration about 6 weeks before the national convention. Folks have been running for about a year now. Joe Jurgensen, John Mons, Jacob Hornberger, Jim Gray just got in the race, who was the vice presidential nominee 8 years ago. Jorgensen was a vice presidential nominee, I want to say 96 or 2000. So there's some longtime libertarian folks. The dude with the boot on his head with free ponies,
Vermin Supreme
has been hanging around the party and running for a couple of years, and has actually been doing a lot of recruitment of supporters to join the party. So there's been some growth with the mockery he's made of the process. There's no guarantee that Amash is actually going to be the nominee. It makes a lot of sense to me, but I guess it's not a done deal. You know,
it's not.
8 years ago when Gary Johnson came in and he was a Republican that jumped in, it were basically 2 candidates traveling around the country, him and one other fellow that were running. That was it. This is a much more crowded field with folks that have been running for a while.
Yeah, that's true. I really think, and I hate to say it, but I think that it's going to boil down to Vermin Supreme or Justin Amash. And I've seen Vermin Supreme, a lot of people talking about him. But here's the thing. Yeah, it's just like our friend Steve Horwitz. Steve Horwitz said, he put on social media, do we want this to be a philosophical discussion group, or do we want to be a political party? And a political party exists solely to get people elected to elected positions. If you want to do that, you have to be taken seriously by the American populace. And a man with a boot on his head who's screaming about free ponies and dental hygiene is not going to be taken seriously on a national stage. That is
Christy Avery's
facts.
Christy Avery's in the chat. She reminds me that it was R. Lee Wrights. The late R. Lee Wrights was the fellow who ran against Gary Johnson, and his message. We talked about him on the show before. His message was end all wars, end the drug war, and the international wars. Both excellent points. the way I handicap it, Dakota, I'm not a delegate because they insisted on scheduling the national convention for the weekend of the greatest sporting event on the planet and the single largest sporting event in the world. I won't be there. I'll be there in May now. The Indy 500, where the Indy 500 is in August, unfortunately, but it was a conflict. So I did not run for a delegate position. Everybody doesn't get to be a delegate. Your state has a number of positions available, and those seats were taken before the date was changed. So I will not be a delegate to the national convention. I wish all of the Indiana folks well as they log in to Zoom or whatever platform to make that happen. But if I'm handicapping it, I think Amash has got the pragmatic folks that are going to be on his side. And I don't think free ponies are going to be the thing that folks are looking at. I think it's going to be the longtime party folks that are loyal to Mons or Jurgensen or Hornberger versus the pragmatic group that's going to go with Amash. I've seen a lot of folks get excited and come back in and have interest in Amash that didn't before, and I think he has a crossover appeal, whereas in the gravitas will say that I think is going to bring in more outsiders that are going to consider him to be very, very, very much worthy of standing on a stage with Trump and Biden.
Right, and that should at least be our main goal as we look towards the presidential election, is to just get our guy on as much national media on the debate stage if possible, but really just as much media coverage as possible. It's just like whenever we're talking about the governor's race for the state of Indiana, we aren't looking for a guy that's going to necessarily be elected. Yeah, that would be absolutely wonderful. But whenever we're talking about someone like Rex Bell, whenever he ran, we weren't necessarily fooling ourselves. We knew that the chances were extremely slim that he would get elected. But he's going on the debate stage with John Gregg and Eric Holcomb, and he's talking about libertarian talking points. And what the main focus is helping all of the folks that are down ballot candidates. As he is up there on the debate stage and he's talking about what we believe in, what libertarians stand for, and what our positions are. We want someone who goes up there who is professional, who knows our points, who does a good job at articulating them in a very pragmatic way and showing how they would work on a national level. And people that are sitting at home can go, man, what is this Libertarian Party? And then they go, oh, look, Chris Guffey is running for city council in my ward. I should vote for him.
The problem Amash is going to have, I think he's going to be very well liked by the Libertarian Party folks. But the frustration that the folks that have been in the party for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years have is the people that I know that have been in the party are running for president. And this guy's Johnny come lately, right? And normally what happens, what Gary Johnson had 8 years ago, is he had the opportunity to go to state conventions. He got in a little bit earlier than Amash did this time, and he actually got to go meet these delegates and spend a little time pressing the flesh and doing the retail politics. Getting in as late as Amash did this time, he still would have had that opportunity if they had an in-person convention, but now it's virtual. So what we've seen, and we've seen this coming from Jim Gray and from his running mate, Larry Sharp, who ran for governor of New York 2 years ago. They've been calling each delegate. The delegates are known, and they've been working the phones. And those folks, the Amash team has to do that too. I guess that's what I'm saying. They need to get their butt in gear. They need to be talking to delegates, and they need to be lining people up now. They've got to do the work, put the time in. It's just like if you watched House of Cards and you watched him work from the whip position when he was still in Congress in the early seasons. You've got 500 members, right? You got 500 delegates roughly, and you need to get yourself to 250. You need to have a list, and you need to be speaking with them, talking with them, and figuring out how to whip the vote to get yourself to the number you need. That's the job number one between now and Memorial Day. That's what the Amash people need to be doing. Yeah,
I absolutely agree.
So, and I think he can do it. It should not be taken as a walk in the park and an easy endeavor, because you have to put the work in. The number one thing is getting the nomination. we learned that we've seen contested nomination fights nationally and in the state party. A month and a half ago, Levin and Rainwater were on this show and had a debate, and our state party had to go through the same thing. So it's exciting. It's exciting time, an interesting time. Got a lot to be decided this year. Obviously, a big deal with federal budget deficits are going crazy. The state of Indiana is burning cash fast, and now we're in an election cycle. So we've been socially distant. We've been trying to find ways to put off making stuff happen. Making these decisions, going to polling places. But now we got to actually start. So it's crazy. It's a crazy time. But we're going to know who the Libertarians are going to have for president by the end of this month, and 3 days into May, we're going to know what's happening at the state and local level with your primaries as well. Primary day would have been like 2 days ago. It would have been Tuesday of this week.
Yep. Yeah, it would have been Tuesday of this week. That seems strange.
Christy is reminding me it's 1,000 plus delegates. So, Christy, you're half as important as I said a minute ago. Since there's 1,000 plus, it's not 500. You're half as important as I thought you were.
You're very important to us, though, Christy. Never forget that.
But the principle's still the same. You need to be working off that list of 1,000, and you need to get yourself to 500 and 550 votes. That has to be the goal.
All right. So speaking about trying to get things back to normal, the governor released a plan last week, and that his plan was how to reopen the state of Indiana. So real quick, before we get into the 5-stage plan and what all it entails, Jeremiah, what is your just overall opinion on the plan?
It's not easy having his job. I've been very vocal about. I did not like the way he handled things last week. Once he got through Friday and he actually announced his plan and announced his intentions, I thought that what he came out with was reasonable. It's not perfect at all, and we can get into some of that. My frustration last week was that he didn't tell people what was going to happen. So there were businesses that were planning on opening on Saturday of last week, and he wasn't going to tell anybody what his plan was until a 2:30 press conference on Friday afternoon. And you didn't know what was going to happen. And in business, you're asked to make projections all the time. You're supposed to make staffing decisions. You're supposed to, you're trying to figure out if you're going to order inventory, what you're going to do to run a business, and you have to have the ability to plan. And the governor, I think, kind of hosed people a little bit instead of saying, hey, we are going to reopen and we're going to do it on X date, at least give them 3, 4, 5 days notice. He gave people 12 hours notice that they weren't reopening on Saturday. So that was a frustration to me. People had ideas, had plans, Simon Malls had announced that they were going to reopen on Saturday. So I'm sure that businesses that were inside of Simon Malls were staffing up and trying to get ready. And he wound up pushing it back essentially a week. So he came out with like this 5 phases. It's honestly, it's well thought out. It's a reasonable plan. I just wish that he had said, hey, we're going to do this in stages. We're going to announce the specifics, but we needed to do it. We needed to give people more notice. So
I agree with you. He had a presser on Wednesday at 2:30, last Wednesday at 2:30, and he was announcing this Friday at 2:30. Like you said,
the governor's been having press conferences every day at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Right. And what I'm saying is that you can't tell me that he didn't already know Wednesday at 2:30 that restaurants were not going to be able to open back up on Saturday.
Yeah.
That's so I think that's unacceptable on his behalf. But I also think that this 5-stage plan, looking at it objectively, I think it's well thought out. It seems very reasonable. I'm happy that they did it the way that they did it. Really, I don't have really any complaints with this 5-stage plan.
They're catching a lot of flack because they're of the states that are reopening, Indiana has the highest per capita infection rate. Mm-hmm. And we're continuing to see 500, 600, 700 new positive tests each day, but we're also testing a hell of a lot more.
Right. So and the governor said that we would only go forward with this plan if we saw a decline in the amount of cases. And that's not happened. We've just seen an incline, and that's it. However, like you said, we've been doing a lot of testing. Even here in Henry County, they have a testing site set up basically yesterday through Saturday, 9 to 6 p.m. at the First Baptist Church on Memorial Street, on Memorial Drive, which is State Road 3 in Newcastle. So yeah, it's we're testing everywhere in the state. That's a big kudos to the state health department for the amount of tests that we're able to get a hold of and to get out to people as quickly and as easily as we possibly can.
So what's it take to get tested at First Baptist? Could you go, or do you need your doctor's note? What do you have to, if you wanted to get a test, what do you have to do?
So what I know is from Councilman Kenan Gray, who said that he went and got tested yesterday at First Baptist Church, yesterday being Wednesday, May the 6th. And he said that it was he walked up to the National Guard gentleman who's who you talked to first. He told him that he is over the age of 65. He had open heart surgery, and they said, okay, you go ahead and get tested. And they decided to do a full nasal swab on him, is what he said. So I don't know if that means that they are doing antibody testing or if they're just doing full testing there. But what I would assume, based on other areas of the state and what I'm hearing nationally, is that if you go up and you said, hey, I am an essential worker, I'm going to work every day and I'm around people every day. I also have, like if I went, I would say I'm an essential worker, I'm around people all day, my job keeps going despite all of this. We do what we can with social distancing and disinfectant, but I've been on a lot of construction sites the past month. I'll just say that. And there's not a whole lot you can do on construction sites with this, right? It's a construction site is a construction site.
So construction's been held up as something that actually you can social distance, but at the same time, try to watch, as Chase told me, try to watch somebody hang some conduit on the wall. One guy's screwing it in, and one guy's holding it, right? So you're not 6 feet away.
Well, yeah, a lot of my job requires two people. Yeah. And that's just how it is. We have our masks. We have N95 masks that we use. And like I said, we're disinfecting a lot. But, I mean, you're still going pee in a porta potty. So it is what it is. Whatever. But if you're an essential worker, I believe that you can go get tested. If you have some symptoms, you can go get tested. If you are 65 and older, you can go get tested. If you have pre-existing conditions that make you more at risk for this, I believe you can get tested as well.
My sister got tested this week. She's 38 weeks pregnant, and major hospital down in Shelbyville is requiring anybody that's, she's going to be going through the hospital for that. They want to know. So she had to go get the test. I think she's waiting on results, but I told her, I said, if you test positive, I think they're going to make you do a home birth, whether you want to or not. It's going to be bathtubs and a doula. So get ready.
I don't know that I would like to be tested. Yeah, sure, that would be cool. But I think that I would at least like to get an antibody test. And
it'd be really nice to know if you've had it, right? So what folks are saying is that if you've had it, allegedly, then maybe you don't have to wear the mask and you don't have social distancing, and you're good to go, and then you're part of the herd immunity.
Sell your blood,
and you can apparently you can go make a few $1,000s a month in selling your plasma back and do okay there too. Rand Paul caught some flack because the Senate was back in session this week, and he didn't wear a mask, and he's like, okay, I don't have to wear a mask because I've already had it, so I'm immune, so I'm not going to carry it, I'm not going to give it to anybody, I'm good to go.
Well, but it's a ridiculous thing that he got flack to begin with not being able to get it again, because these cloth masks that we're wearing, they aren't even intended to keep you from getting the virus. It's my gosh, 97% ineffective with catching it. The reason that you wear a mask is so that whenever you are talking to someone and
you don't get it, you don't spread it to somebody else.
Yeah, if you accidentally gleek while you're talking, which happens all the time, then, or if you're just projecting your words like I am right now and your breath is going out, then your droplets don't spread. That is the theory behind it.
My issue is that the government
breathe it in.
My issue is that the government keeps changing their mind on what the hell you're supposed to be doing. There's Jerome Adams is the former Indiana health commissioner, and now he's the Surgeon General. And there's some quotes from him in March saying, absolutely do not wear a mask. It's not necessary. Don't do it. And that story keeps going around. And here we are now, and it's you have to get into costume or do your thing to put your mask on. Right. Some stores are requiring it. It's recommended by the state. I don't think it's required, but it is recommended. But many folks, I guess the business plans are requiring it for employees. Customers of public locations don't have to wear a mask. It is recommended for them to, but they don't have to. But it's just the Wild West of take an old T-shirt and make what you want. To me, it feels like there's no standard to it, and it's like theater. It feels a lot like going through the TSA line, where you're wearing a mask for your own safety or for your own appearance of safety or to feel better. And I'm not sure that it's actually doing anything. But it's the appearance of doing something, or you get a little personal comfort out of it. But I almost feel like people are going to walk closer to you in Walmart if they're wearing a mask and you're wearing a mask, and they're going to think, okay, great, I'm fine, versus actually taking the 6-foot social distance seriously.
Well, that was I think that the guideline is if you are wearing a mask, the person across from you is wearing a mask, you can be 3 feet apart instead of 6 feet apart as the social distancing. But like I said, you're exactly right with it being theater. If you believe that you are wearing your mask to keep from getting the virus. Because if someone coughs, if you are talking to a Frenchman from Monty Python on the Holy Grail and he farts in your general direction or he coughs in your general direction and you are wearing that mask, then it's not doing anything. It's not going to keep the virus from getting in. I think like the very first episode that we did, I think we were still in the studio because we weren't, no one knew how serious this virus was. The first episode back from after Jackson was born.
Well, let's back. We were following the rules of no more than 10 people in a group, right? And that's the same thing that my office, my employer, my workplace was doing at the time too. That was before we went to the full work from home, shut the NBA down, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, but what I'm saying is
the ball's moved a lot.
In that episode, we talked about the size of the virus, which was either 0.3 or 0.03 microns, which was just small enough to be caught by an N95 mask. And at the very beginning, whenever the CDC and the WHO, the WHO, was talking about masks, they were talking about exclusively the N95 surgical masks because people found that out. They kept buying them up. We had this giant global shortage of the N95 masks, and that is why everyone kept saying, hey, you idiots that are only going to go to the grocery store every other week, stop buying all of our freaking masks that the respiratory therapists need whenever they're hooking people up to a ventilator. Because at that time we were still very, very concerned about our hospitals being overrun.
About 3 weeks ago, we figured out as a state that we're not going to run out of ventilator capacity, right? The ICUs aren't going to run out, and we're not going to run out of ventilator capacity. And that's when the calls for we have to start reopening started. A couple of the items that, Ryan Holcomb's in the chat. I think Ryan works at Walnut Ridge in Newcastle, obviously a very big employer and a big deal economically in Henry County. 80% of all RVs are made in Indiana, and camping was one of the things that got kind of hosed. You can see that I'm in my RV here. I was supposed to be up at Dune State Park this weekend, and the governor screwed that up for me, so I had to escape to Kentucky. The governor put the camping folks in stage 3. Which starts May 24th, and that's when you can have social gatherings of 100 people or less. You get to 101 and everybody dies, but if you get to 99, it's okay. That's when they're going to start letting gyms reopen, and they're going to open up campgrounds. But Dakota, have you looked at a calendar? Do you know when May 24th is?
No.
It's Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. So I don't know. And honestly, the governor's got a lot of things on his mind, and I wish that there was a little bit more flexibility in this date. He basically said, and maybe he did it on purpose, and it was just a backdoor way to do it. Obviously, for you guys go to your summer lake house, similar to other campers. Memorial Day weekend's a big deal, right?
Ours is, yeah. So we always have a poker run, as I've talked about numerous times on the show, with golf carts down there every Memorial Day, and that's already been canceled for this year. So our campground is still open.
You guys are permanent, so you're a little bit different. But all non-permanent sites are supposed to be closed through May 24th. So
yeah, what makes ours different is that we actually own that land.
Yeah,
pay property taxes on the lot. You own it. The campground is basically operating like an HOA.
Every single DNR property was completely sold out for Memorial Day weekend. They were all completely sold out. And essentially what the state did is they said, hey, you can check in on Sunday and leave on Monday if you want to. Assuming that everything goes to plan and this doesn't change. All of these dates have caveats in them that can go. But instead of saying, hey, you know what, we're going to play with you, we're going to work with you a little bit, and we're going to move it up to May 21st or May 20th. They basically just said Memorial Day weekend, you guys are out of luck. You're screwed. So it's not happening.
I think that they were just going by Mondays. I don't think they were necessarily thinking that hard about the.
I don't know. You think they were going by Mondays because they weren't on Mondays before? They were on. It was the last one expired May 1st, which was a Saturday. So I don't know that he's. I don't know that he's been
it was
week to week.
I think it was getting into the month of May, and then every Monday after that till July 4th, a major holiday.
Yeah, Memorial Day is a pretty major holiday too, and he didn't.
Especially Indiana. Memorial Day is a major holiday, really, in Indiana.
So the restaurants have permission from the state to reopen, and the feedback from a whole lot of restaurants and bars, especially in our area here, is we cannot function at 50% capacity. It's not worth it for us to reopen. So this 50% rule is in place until June 14th, when they can go to 75% capacity. Restaurants can't fully reopen if everything stays perfectly until July 4th as well. So the trouble is, and we just saw eight stacked pickles, all the stacked pickles, which is Gary Brackett's restaurant in Indianapolis, local mid-sized chain restaurant.
8 in Indiana and 1 in Ohio.
Yeah, and they're all dead. They're gone. They didn't survive coronavirus.
Which is a shame. The original fried pickle, it's gone. So I don't know. I think Scotty's invented it, but they're dead too. So it's which dead restaurant made the pickles happen. I'm saying the stacked pickle because they have pickle in their name. But anyway, we experienced a real scenario with this restaurant business on Tuesday. Tuesday of this past week was Cinco de Mayo, as well as Taco Tuesday on the same day. So
it should have been magical.
Yeah, we tried calling all the Mexican restaurants in our area were not reopened. They were just doing carry out only still. And we tried calling El Chile Poblano in Newcastle on 14th Street, and the phone line was extremely busy, and I just kept hitting redial. I hit redial 32 times. I finally got a dial tone, and then it went to an answering machine message. So it's like, well, they're just swamped right now. They're just being hammered really hard. So then I called Los Charros, D&G.
Knightstown?
In Knightstown. And I called those folks. Same thing. It was a busy dial tone. And I tried it 20 times. And I finally was like,
you really wanted some Mexican food.
So I looked on their Facebook page, and they said you can order through their website. I got on their website. The website was down because there's so much traffic. There's so much traffic on their website. It was down. And then they put another Facebook post up that said we're taking orders through Messenger. So I sent them a message, and I said, and we had my sister-in-law and our niece was over. So we got 10 tacos and 2 margaritas to split between everybody.
Between the two babies and the 4 adults.
Yep. And so I was like, I just ordered that. And he said it would be 30 minutes. I was like, oh, sweet. So I go there, and there is probably 25 people standing outside of the restaurant. There's not a place to park. And they are going outside, and they are calling one person in at a time to pay for their order and pick up their food. And
were they calling you by name, or how was it? Was it just chaos?
They were assigning numbers whenever you ordered your food through Messenger or their website. So they had a good system. It was very efficient. However, they did not expect. I don't think they anticipated how much they were going to get. So they told me 30 minutes. I got there at the 30-minute mark. And I stood outside with all the people who, by the way, Knightstown, good job. Everyone maintained social distancing. By the time that I left, I think at the very peak, there was probably 40 people that were standing in the street outside of the restaurant.
It was a Knightstown block party, buddy.
Yeah, there were so many people that there was an emergency call, and the fire truck couldn't get through, so he had to go around. It was intense. It was absolutely amazing. I waited, actually, it was like 50 minutes on the dot, and I went in and paid, and I was like, and the dude was like super apologetic. I don't want to dog them and say that, they were 20 minutes longer than what I thought, because
they got slammed. That's what they got to do.
And he's like, I'm so sorry. He's like, I apologize. He's like, didn't know that it was going to get this busy. Like, you're okay. I was like, it's totally fine, man. As long as my food is warm whenever I get home and the margaritas still have ice in them, I don't care. And How
did they do the margaritas? Did they give you the mix? Did they give you the mix, and then you had to pour the vodka, the tequila in?
Yeah, so they give you a little bottle, 100 milliliter bottle of Jose Cuervo for one 32-ounce margarita.
Yeah, and
you take it that way. They were doing this special where it was 99 cents for a soft shell taco, $1.99 for a hard shell taco, and then you got $1 off of a margarita purchase. So they had good deals going on that day, and I think they were like, "Oh, we need to do these good deals so that we increase business." And then they could have charged. Holy crap.
They could have charged premiums and been just fine.
Yeah, it was like not this much more business.
Well, I think people are figuring out quarantine is over, whether the government says it or not. I think people are just saying the heck with it. They've gone just enough. This last week, you can tell people's attitudes and where they're going and what they're doing that the quarantine mindset has come to an end. And by the way, the gas prices have jumped too. As soon as we started driving a little bit more, gas went from $1.29 a gallon to about $1.85 a gallon, $1.90 a gallon in Newcastle. So there was a big jump, really, really fast there.
And the thing about, so I posted on social media this week about gyms, and you were talking about gyms.
Yeah, you've got. They're supposed to kind of be back open, but they can't fully be back open, right? That's their.
They can't fully be back open. In that stage 3, May 23rd through 24th, they have to follow strict guidelines to maintain social distancing, and they have to make sure that all the equipment is disinfected after each person uses it. So
they're open with restrictions from May 24th through July 4th, essentially. Right.
So I put on my Facebook page that I don't think that I put that I'm not going to be able to go back to the gym July 4th, because I'm assuming
May 24th. July 4th, you should be fine, right?
Well, I was thinking I wouldn't be able to go back till July 4th, because my thought is that Anytime Fitness in Newcastle, which is the gym that I go to, I don't see how it's possible. They're going to have to move things around with the equipment in there. It's not a very big facility. It's a good facility. That's why I keep going there, but it's not huge. They're going to have to move equipment around to maintain that 6 feet distancing if two people are on pieces of equipment next to each other. And they want to open their classes back up. They're going to have to because They have personal trainers that are out of work right now, and they need to get back to normal. That's really where a gym makes their money at, is from people signing up for classes and personal training.
And the people that sign up in January for a year and then they never come back.
Yeah, don't forget about that.
That's also highly profitable.
That's a big one.
There are people that don't know their gym's closed because they haven't tried to go since February.
But of the people that go to the gym regularly, those are the people who gyms make money off of.
Yep.
So they need to get those back open. They're going to have to expand that space quite a bit if they want all 20 people in their class to be able to maintain social distancing. So I don't know how it's going to work. I talked to John Dugan, who is the manager at Anytime Fitness, and he said that they have developed a plan. They are planning on opening up on May 24th. So that's good news.
So this is the other part of this that is frustrating, talking about the governor, is that they essentially, every business has to have a plan and post it, and you have to kiss the ring of the governor and the executive office to get reopened. And some people are getting it done and some aren't, and it's working for some, it's not working for others. Word is today, Newcastle Motorsports Park down in Spiceland, excise came in and shut them down today. They've been operating for a couple of weeks. And I know the county commissioners and their ordinance with the health department had been working to get them open and keep them open. And the state came in and for whatever reason didn't like their plan or didn't like what was happening and shut them down. So it's not a blanket. It's okay. And it seems like everybody has to. It's very specialized. And I guess what I'm saying is it sounds like some of this is becoming a little bit arbitrary as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's like you said, quarantine's over, whether the government wants it to or not.
Yeah,
that's just the way it is. We are taking precautions in our house as what we feel is needed. I'm lucky enough that my job, I have access to cloth masks as well as N95 masks. So my family has them. We are able to I wear a mask. I wore a mask today whenever I was in Aldi doing grocery shopping.
Are you going out alone, or are you going as the family?
Going out
to
alone.
The grocery.
Going out alone. Yeah. So it's Audrey's been a couple times. I've been a few times. It's the more responsible thing to do, I feel, especially with a newborn, and he's getting to where he's 2.5 months old now, about to be 3 months.
Has he asked about me yet?
He hasn't yet. No, I'm sorry. But so we're getting to that stage to where he's developing an immune response. His immune system is starting to function. I shouldn't say function. He actually has the start of an immune system now. We give him probiotics every day. It's just which we would have done that regardless. I'm a huge proponent of probiotics regardless. So, but it's still worrisome because the data isn't there yet for how it affects newborns. Because there's not as many newborns as what there are regular people.
One last. No, obviously they're on the beginning of the sampling scale there. One last reopening tidbit. Take one last glorious look at my beard and my long hair. I've been getting this weird, it's almost curling in the back. It's so long. I don't know what to do about the back of my head. It's getting into mullet stage here. But I am on the very front end. I think I'm the second haircut at MVP on reopening day. On Monday. Ooh. So I am scheduled. I'm right after Councilman Malakote. Apparently the council people take care of the council people. So since I couldn't win that election, I have to be the second one that gets cut. But I'll be in there, and I don't know. The question is what do I do with it, man? I might need a haircut, some haircut guidance from you. Because I got a lot to work with. Do you think I want to get rid of everything? This
shave it.
If I'm going to shave it, I should have done that a month ago. Instead, what the hell's the point of that?
I have an appointment. I have a haircut appointment on Monday as well.
Are you right after me with Clay?
No. I have an appointment at 3 p.m. at Miller's Barbershop in Spiceland with down there. And man, this is the longest my hair's been probably since I got married.
Yeah, well, you had so in my house, the pictures that you and I take each week were identified, and Google puts them up on my TVs. So I get a lot of pictures of the two of us that flash through, and there was a big pompadour phase that you had. Your hair was pretty big during the pompadour.
Well, it was long on the top.
Yeah, but the sides were still tight. Yeah, the sides. You had a lot of volume going on up high.
The back is what kills me. It's so strange.
I literally, it's starting to feel like mullet style back here. If you're watching on the live stream and you go back and look, it feathers out unbelievably. I don't know what to do with it. I'm not sure, because that was like a half an inch, and now it's like 4 inches of just. I could go big hair. I may get a perm. I don't know. I don't know if Clay's a cosmetologist, so maybe he has the technology to do it.
You could, you should. I don't know. I don't know what you should do. You should go like for the wide mohawk style and keep it long in the back still.
I'm definitely having him shave me too.
Just kind of shave from like, if you're watching the live stream, I'm going from like the corner of the hair and then straight over and then back to the very back corner of your hair. A wide mohawk. That's what you should do. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Some might call that a 21st century mullet.
Now, if folks are listening to this on the podcast form, we love you. But more of Henry County is going to be able to watch the live stream or come back and rewatch the live stream, because there was a big old announcement from our friends over at Henry County REMC.
Yes, that's right.
There are some towers that were installed back in 2016. There are 5 190-foot tall Henry County REMC communication towers that were built near Middletown, Kennard, Moreland, Strawn, and Newcastle. So off of those towers, the folks that watch communications down in Rushville, if you ever take State Road 3 south, say you're heading towards I-74, south of Rushville, just south of the Casey's on the right, there's Watch Communications. And those folks are putting up their towers, and people can sign up, and a lot more of Henry County is going to be able to get some broadband.
Yeah, that's right. Last week we had talked to Shannon.
We did have Shannon scheduled, and he was ready to come on with us, and I did not. And I'll take the foul here, raise my hand. I didn't reach back out to Shannon tonight because I was traveling and was not 100% certain on the timing and how this is going to work with me being remote today, because I'm working off of a hotspot in rural Kentucky. I'm not on my glorious gigabit internet at home like I normally am, or in the studio. So I'm working off of a Brisket wireless hotspot right now, and it's working okay. Go ahead.
But yeah, Shannon was talking about that. These are 5G wireless internet towers, and apparently this is different than 5G communications towers, which it would be like cellular service. But it's the 5G thing with the coronavirus. People have got this weird theory that 5G is what caused the coronavirus, which is super strange. I really don't understand the theory at all. Like, I wish it's one of those things that back whenever I had time, I would have researched a lot of it because it's so. If
you weren't so busy trying to survive.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's just so astounding to me. There's 184 countries that have coronavirus, and there's only 5 countries that have 5G. But they're convinced that because 5G is up and running in Wuhan, then that is what caused the coronavirus. I just don't understand it. But maybe we're getting 5G in Henry County now, which maybe we'll probably see a spike in coronavirus right after the towers get turned on.
So this is it's tied in. It's a part of a program with Airband Initiative and Microsoft, and they're trying to reach 3 million rural households. And we talked about this. We've done a couple of episodes on rural broadband in Henry County, and there were some grants that were trying to take place. If folks are in, I would say if you're in anywhere in Henry County and you don't have a decent connection right now, give them a call. If you look at the map, Middletown is the northwest, Moreland's the northeast, Strawn is the southwest, Newcastle's the center, Kennard is kind of west central. So most of the county, I think, is going to be within range of this. Knightstown is about the only area that's not necessarily there, but I think they've got some 9-star opportunities down there anyway for a lot of the folks in the Knightstown area. So give Watch Communications a call, 800-589-3837, or jump on their website or the Henry County REMC website, and they'll have the details on there. But it's exciting, man. I'm glad that
really neat.
As we were looking at houses last year for my in-laws last summer, that was one of the first utilities I was looking at. I think if you're buying a house and you're in this world of streaming, and God knows that in this world of e-learning and remote working, you have to have a good internet connection to be able to function. So.
Yeah.
And you can get by with a hotspot for a little while, but you're going to have data caps and, some technological issues that occur when you have too many, when you try to do too much with it. So you can get by for a day or two. Going all month, if you're trying to stream TV or stream Netflix or do video conferencing, it's just not going to shake out. It's not going to work.
Yeah. And the 5G is exciting. It'll be super fast. I personally hope that the 5G towers keep expanding.
Are you sure that this is 5G, or are you just pulling my leg?
No, these are according to Shannon himself.
Okay, you independently confirm this.
Yes, these are 5G.
Boss Hog reporter Dakota Davis.
These are 5G wireless broadband towers. It's different than, like I said before, it's different from 5G communications. But it is a faster, more reliable service for internet.
5G simply stands for fifth generation, right? Fifth generation.
Yeah. So
there's nothing crazy hokey pokey. We can all remember 2G, 3G, and 4G.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. And these wavelengths have been. I'm not going to get into the conspiracy, but it's just. It's dumb regardless. Like, just if you have any of those people that are espousing this on your friends list, you either keep them around for entertainment purposes or you just need to get rid of them. Get that negativity out of your life. You don't need to be seeing it.
I have done a lot of unfollow or snooze this person for 30 days.
I have too. Quarantine's been good for that.
As people have been talking, I've just said, nope, don't need to listen to you. Don't need to listen to you. I've noticed that a lot of the people that think crazy stuff are the same people that think crazy stuff now. And you just hope to God that you don't get thrown in a group chat with them. And if they do, then you mute it. Yep. Oh, shoot. You got any final thoughts for me, man?
I do have final thoughts. Andrew Bowman. I have two final thoughts. Andrew Bowman, first of all, who is a Patreon supporter of this show. He's a good friend of the show, all around great guy. He runs the Bowman's Lawn Care, which is out of Brazil, Indiana. And he puts up these YouTube videos all the time on how to take care of your lawn properly. And he takes questions. I asked a question last year about how I get stripes in my lawn to make all the other dads in the neighborhood jealous. And so I'd been flirting with this last year. I engineered this whole rolling system on the back of my lawnmower.
You did fabricate a little something.
It worked really well. But with my zero turn, I kept not thinking that it was back there and snagging it on my chain link fence and things, so that I had to take it off. And he just gave basic lawn care tips about dethatching and aerating, things that make your grass grow thicker and fuller and better. And that's really just how you get them. I've followed a lot of his advice. He does a great job. So go give him a subscribe on YouTube. My second final thought would be, if you go to my Facebook page, I have been doing design work for political campaigns for the past 2 years.
You're selling your services, you whore.
Yep. I did the design services for your campaign. I did the video and things for your campaign whenever you ran for county council. I did 3 different campaigns last year with Brantley Spicer in Muncie, Chris Guffey, and Lisa Catron here in Newcastle. And I'm telling you right now, Jeremiah, the Creative Cloud Renew hit this. It hit yesterday, I think, and
it's got to pay. You got to pay for it.
Yeah. And that auto renew hit differently whenever we weren't a single income family with a child.
When you're not a dink, dual income, no kids, all of a sudden you're single income with a kid, and you're going.
Yeah. Well, I saw that come out. I forgot that it was going to be coming out, and I went, dang it. And so, if you are a political candidate, then I would be happy to help you out. I think that all my prices are really good based on everything that I found online. I scoured Reddit for what other people were charging, and my prices are easily $30 cheaper.
You're very aggressive.
Basically everything.
You're very aggressive. You're going to have more work than you know what to do with very quickly. All right. I'm watching the chat here as I'm finishing up. Bill Lowry's in the chat. He says for next week, find out why the stop sign is out in front of the Smith building at Memorial Park. The reason the stop sign is out is because the commissioner said it's okay. Once again, people were plowing through ducks and geese. The waterfowl were taking a beating. So they've got a stop sign in there to try to slow traffic down. It's a live county road. I think the speed limit on county roads is 55 unless it's posted otherwise. So I believe that the Memorial Park Board is trying to get an ordinance passed to change the speed limit to 40. But not only were the waterfowl were a problem, but
last I heard,
quarantine's over and people are out there.
Yeah. And they're trying to get it slowed down to 20.
20 is a little aggressive.
I think is what Jerry was saying.
If they go 20, I'm getting my pitchfork and I'm leading the revolt. 20 is too slow. Nobody's ever going to do 20.
The worry is that the next time something gets hit out there, it's not a goose. It's a kid. And that's why they put the stop sign out. So the stop sign's temporary. It's been out there a number of times. When there's major events, county fairs, that sort of thing, out at Memorial Park, the stop sign has been used in the past. That goes all the way back to when I was in 4-H, 20 years ago. So I know the stop signs have been out there for a long time. But I think basically the pedestrian traffic, we got some really nice days. Pedestrian traffic picked up, and the park board asked the commissioners to put it out there. So that's how that happened. Final thoughts on my side. My lovely wife has been inside enough, and she's read every book in our house. So I'm praying to God that the library reopens soon, or does you order it online and you pick it up from us program or something. I know some libraries have done that, but you can tell Sarah that I have the complete works and collections of the great author Edgar Allan Poe. All of Edgar Allan Poe is available in the Dakota Davis Library. Yep. Yeah, she says no. She's not a fan of the Ravens. We have a whole we don't like the AFC North in any way, or Edgar Allan Poe. No Ravens, no Bengals, no Browns, no Steelers, and no Edgar Allan Poe. I still want to be more. Can't do it. We don't want no depression around here. Got to thank my boy Stephen Viteto. Got a new sign for the camper, and I went to Rural King and got a little base for it, and the sign weighs about 90 pounds, and I said, this will never do. I got one of those little flag holders at Sarah's going to bring it into the shot here. This giant welcome to our campsite sign. Weighs way too much, so I said, Steven likes to do stuff, so he wound up welding up a nice little metal base for me. Does a great job. So that was cool, and finally, sports are going to start again, Dakota. June 6th. IndyCar is back at Texas with no fans, but Indianapolis, July 4th weekend, is supposed to have the GP of Indy, and it sounds like that's kind of in the governor's plans to let fans show up at that for the Grand Prix, for the Xfinity road course race, and for the Brickyard 400, I think. So we might be the first race fans that actually get to go back. The people of Indiana might be the first to get to go back to a sporting event. Hey, UFC's back this weekend, so which is the superior sport? Yeah. Nobody's going to risk their lives in UFC. You might screw up a knee, but you're not risking your life in UFC. I will say that the Koreans beat us back to baseball too. The Koreans beat us back. The Korean Professional Baseball League was playing last night, and those guys, there was action on it. You could start betting on Korean baseball. Did you really just say no one risks their life in UFC?
They're not. They don't have the. It's not anywhere close to the risk.
Have you ever watched a UFC fight?
Yeah, it's not the same.
It's
not the same.
You're fighting. Like, whenever those guys tap, they're an inch away from death as it is.
Yeah. Yeah. When was the last time they had a fatality?
They haven't had one yet.
Okay. All right.
They've had them in other fighting organizations.
The risks are different.
UFC, so that, going back to, going to that.
Bull riding and motorsports. Those are the real sports, buddy.
That is why the UFC is the pinnacle of all fighting organizations, is because they haven't had a fatality yet, versus many other fighting organizations around the globe that the referees aren't as highly trained as what they trained them here. And unfortunately, people really have lost their lives.
Yeah.
Just fighting.
That's okay. All right. I'm not going to fight you. All right. That's enough of this. We will see you all next Thursday. We appreciate everybody for listening. Like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. We will be back in studio next week.
Thank you for listening to the Boss Hog of Liberty, which is part of the We Are Libertarians network. I am Chris Spangle, and I am the founder of this network, and I invite you to listen to all of our shows, which you can find at WeAreLibertarians.com or by searching for these in your podcatcher. The flagship show is the We Are Libertarians podcast, where we apply libertarian principles to current events. The Brian Nichols Show is a conversation amongst Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Independents, as they talk about what is happening in the news. And we have many other podcasts like The Chris Spangle Show, Upward, The Cost, Raw Audio Politics, Miranda's World, and Tad Talk, which is quite a ride. So check all of these out. Go to WeAreLibertarians.com and you can check out all of our great podcasts. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at WeAreLibertarians.com.